Years ago, I was invited to give a talk at a special gathering held beneath the large water wheel at Bill Grist Mill in Napa County here in Northern California. Given the location, I decided to talk about the wheel, or what I think of as the wheel of life. The wheel represents one of the greatest human inventions of all time. Its application to matters of transportation, conveyance of goods, and recreation is legendary. The symbolism of the wheel plays an important role in various spiritual beliefs as well. For example, in North America, Plains Indians use medicine wheels, while in India, there is the Buddhist tradition known as the Wheel of Life, and in Tibet, what are known as mani or prayer wheels. All of these spiritual wheels convey psychic energy, as the physical wheels convey cargo. Today, it's difficult to imagine what might have become our humanity had the wheel not appeared. The wheel has helped us sustain us for millennia. It's truly the wheel of life. The earliest known wheels appeared in Mesopotamia around 7,000 years ago. They were used with wooden carts. Mesopotamia is today known as Iraq. During the First Gulf War, archaeologists assisted the Pentagon by mapping critical Iraqi archaeological sites to be avoided in bombing attacks. However, in the Second Gulf War, the voice of archaeologists was relatively mute, or rather, no one was listening. Important archaeological sites are known to have been damaged or destroyed. This includes the fabled city of Babylon. The wheel reached Europe and West Asia around 6,000 years ago. Wheels were used there on two-wheel carts pulled by horses, ponies, oxen, water buffalo, donkeys, goats, large dogs, and sometimes people. Originally, wheels consisted of a solid piece of wood rounded into a circle. The two-wheeled chariot appeared among the horse cultures of the Caucasus around 4,000 years ago. Spoked wheels were created in order to allow for lighter and faster carts, and thus was born the chariot. The wheel, per se, didn't appear in the Americas until the arrival of European explorers in the late 15th century. That said, ceramic objects with wheels did appear in Mesoamerica around 3,000 years ago, as found in archaeological sites of the Olmec culture. These artifacts appear to have been children's toys that were pulled by a string. Even though the Olmecs clearly understood the mechanics of the wheel, they apparently never constructed larger and more practical versions of these toys. The water wheel appeared in Europe about 2,100 years ago. Its mechanical grace allowed for the efficient milling of flour, and thereafter, Europe's population increased accordingly. By the 18th century, four-wheel wagons were popular in the U.S. The wagon was the workhorse of transportation and commerce, especially when hitched to a team of strong workhorses, or oxen. In the mid-19th century, covered wagons traversed the continent as settlers headed west to California and to Oregon. In many ways, the covered wagon was America's first recreational vehicle. And if the covered wagon was the original RV, then the stagecoach was undoubtedly the first bus. In 1802, the first locomotive was built that ran on rails. Soon, the many steel wheels of countless trains were crisscrossing their way noisily across the land. By 1869, a transcontinental railroad had bisected the heart of America, from the east coast to the west. The predecessor of the bicycle was invented by a German in 1817. This invention lacked pedals, and thus the bicyclist propelled the contraption using his feet, a la Fred Flintstone and his cartoon car. Pedals were added to the bicycle by a Scotsman in 1839. However, the original bicycles were so heavy that they required strong riders to maneuver them. And maneuver them they did on roads made thick with horse and buggy. The horseless buggy, better known today as the automobile, appeared in the 1880s and was soon competing with and scaring the horses. People often said, "Get a horse!" But the loud horseless contraptions won out, and today horses survive mostly for the passion of hobbyists. Wilbur and Orville Wright made history in 1903 when their airplane went skyward. Soon, the production of wagon and buggy wheels turned to producing the wheels needed to feed a burgeoning automobile and airplane industry. The mountain bike first appeared in nearby Marin County in the 1970s. Today, these off-road bicycles are extremely popular in the parks and allow their riders to access areas previously beyond their reach. NASA sent a moon buggy, known as a lunar roving vehicle, to the moon with Apollo 11 in 1969 and abandoned it there at the conclusion of the mission. Moon buggies accompanied the Apollo 15, 16, and 17 missions as well, and still remain parked on the cold surface of the moon. In 1981, NASA sent wheels into outer space once again, with the inaugural flight of the Space Shuttle. In 2003, NASA sent the Mars rover to its namesake planet. Many of us watched our television and computer screens intently as NASA's video feed showed rovers' precise little wheels turning tirelessly in the Martian sand. So what about the history of the wheel in Napa Valley? The wheel didn't appear in the San Francisco Bay Area until the 18th century. With Spanish exploration came the carreta, a two-wheeled wooden cart pulled by oxen. Carretas were common sights over at Mission San Francisco Solano, in what is now the town of Sonoma, and they were also seen on the local Mexican ranchos following the mission's secularization in 1834. In 1846, Dr. Edwin Turner Bell completed the construction of his grist mill on what is now Bell Grist Mill State Historic Park. Upon completion, the 36-foot-high water wheel began its labor at milling the valley's grain. It would continue to do so until 1879, when the mill ceased operation. Four-wheeled wagons and horse-drawn buggies became common in the early American period. Wagons conveyed lucky members of the Donner Party and their rescuers alike to Napa Valley, following their rescue from the deep snowpack of the Sierras in 1847. In 1850, Lieutenant Nathaniel Lyon and the men of the 1st Dragoons Regiment of the United States Cavalry moved up Napa Valley on their way to Clear Lake. They pulled a brass fill cannon, which was conveyed by two strong wheels. The cannon was later used to massacre hundreds of innocent Pomo Indians who had taken refuge on an island in Clear Lake. Today, that incident is known as the Bloody Island Massacre. The Napa Valley Railroad began operation in 1864. The track ran from Vallejo to Calistoga and was popular with locals and visitors alike. Today, the visitor-friendly Napa Valley Wine Train follows the same route from Napa to Calistoga. In 1866, John Lawley began constructing his toll road from Calistoga over Mount St. Helena to Lake County. Until shortly after the turn of the century, the road was plied by a variety of horse-drawn wagons, coaches, and buggies. Lawley's Road was purchased by Napa County in 1922 and became State Highway 29. By then, the road was busy with automobiles, and there were few horses to be seen. The same was true elsewhere in the San Francisco Bay Area. Today, Napa Valley is crisscrossed by an array of roads, all busy with the vehicles of industrious workers and happy tourists. This will likely be the case for many years to come, as the wheels of industry and recreation continue to convey their precious loads about the valley. Indeed, the wheel will continue to accompany humanity in our day-to-day endeavors as we reach for the stars and beyond. And the wheel will continue to grace our machines of every kind, including the unimaginable robotics of the future, as various inventions strive to make our transportation, conveyance of goods, and recreation more easily done. The wheel of life will continue turning as long as we continue moving.